Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine.
What do you say? What do you say in these moments? Just stay away from the windows, I guess, and we'll keep going.
Joe. Little fucking Joe Lindsley.
Joe Lindsley is quickly becoming an American treasure in broadcasting.
Welcome to Ukraine.
Music from Kyiv, where Joseph Lindsley is. Let's go to Ukraine right now. What are we listening to, Joe?
Hey, Bob, good afternoon from Kyiv. We just had the all clear moments ago, but now we're back into air raid alert. So we'll see if anything happens while we speak. This song is sort of tongue-in-cheek. I send it to you. It's a song, Valerie, Plame, by the Portland band The Decemberists, and it's about that 2003 Plame affair, the CIA leak scandal, when everyone was talking about the WMDs in Iraq. And Valerie Plame was a CIA agent, and her name was exposed by journalist Robert Novak. And so in this song, it's sort of a funny song singing about Valerie Plame, sort of like, traveling around the world, taking in the sights of your empire's colony from the Green Zone Marriott. And I had this song in mind today about Valerie Plame because we had the news today that U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, Victoria Nuland, arrived in Kyiv. She was greeted on the train depot in Kyiv by the U.S. Ambassador, Bridget Brink. And, this was interesting because Victoria Nuland, she's become a buzzword for many Americans who are skeptical of Ukraine. It's enough simply to say, but Victoria Nuland as an argument against Ukraine. And so I think it's important when we see the images of her here today to discuss that. And whether it's, many people who, are frustrated with, the U.S. foreign policy the past 20 years. They don't support Ukraine because they think there's some kind of conspiracy here. And many people believe that this one woman, Victoria Nuland, orchestrated Ukraine's revolution of dignity in 2014. And the reason why they think that is because this was 10 years ago from this month. There was a leaked phone call with Victoria Nuland and other U.S. officials talking about who should be the next prime minister of Ukraine. And the detractors say, there's the evidence that the United States created the revolution in 2014. And the Russian propaganda, of course, is only too happy to fuel this. And what was happening, in 10 years ago from these very days, people were flooding the streets, especially the main squares of Kyiv and cities around the country. And it was coming to a head, just as we saw in Hong Kong in 2019. Either the secret police and the regime were going to start killing more and more of the protests. They already had begun to fire upon them and until everyone went home, or the people were going to win and the regime was going to fold and flee. And as we saw right about February 23rd, 24th, 2014, the regime fled to Russia, the pro-Putin regime, and the people won. In this environment, of course, many officials, many bureaucrats and diplomatic officials were trying to manage it. This is what they do. They want to be part of the game and, pretend that they're keenly a part of these exciting affairs. And so we had that leaked phone call where Victoria Nuland was discussing, who the U.S. wanted to support if the regime did fall, which it did. And, having been here in Ukraine during the pandemic, now every moment of this war, there is no way that revolution was created by one person, let alone a department, in the U.S. government. I think our government is not so apt. There's a great deal of ineptitude in managing our own affairs. And Ukraine's revolution of dignity reawakened the soul of the nation. It led to a resurgence of the Ukrainian language, music, culture, identity, everything. And I see that here very deeply, whether it was in the main square, the Maidan of Kyiv, or here in Kharkiv. In 2014, was a Russian-speaking city, and people, but they decided that after the century of Sovietism, they really wanted to be free, and it started from the old Hemingway bar here in Kharkiv, which, by the way, the Russians have since destroyed in 2022, and it was a grassroots movement. I know so many people who were part of that revolution. I just had someone who was there at the revolution, Andriy Marchik. He was injured by the secret police, and he sent me a poem he wrote while he was recovering. They made the St. Michael's Monastery in Kyiv into a makeshift hospital. And he sent me these words that he wrote while he was recovering. He said, "Why have I been walking away? I'm now going forward without fear, and I hear the voice of my people behind me. My soul screams, I will not forget, because I want to live in peace and harmony." And so, this was the project of Ukrainians and for these past 10 years. And now they're willing to face missiles and rockets and bullets to stand for that idea of freedom. And so it is a ridiculous thing to think that one American, Valerie Plame-like character, that Victoria Nuland could create all this. But another concerning thing is that there is a tone deafness from the administration. I mean, certainly they know, or, people in the White House press office know that her name alone is used by everyone from Tucker Carlson and even to Joe Rogan and others as a total argument, a QED against Ukraine. And then they have her, brazenly and boldly show up in the train depot, to have an official welcome from the U.S. ambassador. That doesn't help the optics. And, it would be nice if they would, explain, if, for example, they would talk about the Revolution of Dignity and someone in the White House. They don't talk about it. And I think in part because, everyone in power is inherently afraid of revolutions. And that Ukraine is an example of how people really can be free and take control of their country. So the White House chooses not to talk about this. And by the same token that, the White House is not clear that most of the money that has been allocated for Ukraine actually goes to the United States, goes to defense contractors. And it would be very simple to clear this up. I had to quote Joe Rogan again the other day. Joe Rogan on his popular podcast was complaining about all the billions of dollars going to Ukraine and other countries. And we just know the fact that most of that money is going to defense industry, to factories throughout the United States, paying American salaries and paying for weapons for the United States. So these things could be so easily cleared up. And so often these, bureaucrats, I think they have great intentions, but they kind of get in the way. And I wish that they could sort of help clarify these things. And it also doesn't help that Victoria Nuland's husband, is one of the advocates of foreign wars and intervening in foreign wars in the Middle East. Her brother and sister-in-law started the Institute for the Study of War, which is funded by U.S. defense contractors and which is quoted every day by the likes of the BBC about what's happening in Ukraine. They never push for quick victory. They seem to be in favor of a long, slow, steady war that keeps these companies very busy. And so the Russians know this. The Russians know that this is sort of this tricky propaganda. They know that Victoria Nuland didn't create the revolution, but they know they can try to convince Americans of that. And so I thought it important today to try to illuminate some of the actual situation. As I'm here in this city, which, by the way, Bob, moments after we finished yesterday, I took a rest. I lay down on the couch, and then everything shook, and we began to get hit. And there were many missiles throughout the afternoon and drones through the night. So that is still continuing here in Kharkiv.
You paint such vivid pictures for us of what you experienced there in Ukraine. But I have to tell you, I saw the video that you made while you were talking to us yesterday, walking through the streets of Kharkiv, all the boarded up buildings, and then also traffic and some coffee shops open. And it was unbelievable to see that. How can people see your videos, Joseph? I'm not sure if, I guess we have links on WGNradio.com, the Surratt Show page, but is there another way to see those videos? Because they are remarkable.
Sure. If you go to UkrainianFreedomNews.com, and from there, you can access our YouTube page and Twitter and everything else. So UkrainianFreedomNews.com. And yeah, you can see the background from which I was speaking to you a couple days ago in that building that was destroyed last Tuesday, UkrainianFreedomNews.com. And, at this moment, right now, we know that there's a threat of hypersonic missiles anywhere in this country. And so I don't know. I think we will have some, how do we put it? It's just, what do you say? What do you say in these moments? Just stay away from the windows, I guess, and we'll keep going.
And I mean, not to say that I don't marvel at the fact that I'm behind a WGN Radio Chicago microphone and you're in Ukraine, but seeing you with I guess it was your iPad just wandering around those streets and talking to us, it's amazing, and you do such great work. We'll talk again tomorrow. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Until tomorrow. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Єбать.